what do I got now? You hear it, right? A little bit different though this time. That's a 4.3. 4.3 with a lifter tick. Kind of uncommon actually, at least in my experience. Truck's been sitting for quite a while, so I got to find out what's going on there. I got to check the oil condition. I'm going to say that it's a combination of the oil condition, and you know, from the fact, not a combination, it's the fact that it's the oil condition and the fact that it was sitting for a long period of time. I guarantee you the lifter is gummed up or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this thing hot, I'm going to check the oil level, and we're going to see what happens there, and I'm going to see the condition. I'm going to probably add transmission fluid to the engine oil. That will usually help unstick lifters. I've seen it happen many times. Marvel Mystery Oil will do the same thing. I use training fluid, works just as well. I've actually run engines on strictly transmission fluid for a period of time to try to like unstick stuff, and it does work. So usually like a Type F or old school type transmission fluid. You don't want to use the new synthetic stuff. Try to use old school fluid. It works the best. Like ATF plus 4 works perfectly fine. So yeah, anything like that. Type F fluid, ATF, Dextron fluid, whatever, stuff like that. It usually works pretty good. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this thing get heated up. I'm going to probably just add the training fluid to it and see what happens. In fact, maybe I'll do that right now. I know it's just coincidence, right? Well, at least right away it is. It's the fact that the engine's warming up, but you notice the tick is gone. But I was adding training fluid, and while I was adding the training fluid, the tick stopped. That's ATF plus 4. What I had laying around, so that's what I'm using. But you notice the tick is gone. So I'm going to say right off the bat, it's just sticking lifters. Now the other thing I need to do too is this thing has a rough start, like the IAC is either stuck in one position or whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the mass air meter, I'm going to double check the air filter, I'm going to clean the throttle body, and then I'm going to use a scanner to see if it's possible to actuate the IAC, or at least control the idle. Because it's possible the IAC's no good. But let's see. Looking down there, actually looks like that might have been changed at one point in time. So, all right, let me take a few things apart and clean a few things, and let's see what happens. Now, I didn't think about this before I started doing this. Check the oil, because I'm sure somebody out there is going to say, oh, it's just low on oil, that's why I was tapping. Let's check the oil now. I haven't touched anything. All I did was add that 1 quart. I haven't moved the vehicle. And it's still sitting in the same spot. So now let's check that oil. Kind of hard to do one-handed here, so let me see if I can't prop this up somehow. That ain't gonna fly. Yeah, it's not gonna work. All right. So here's the stick. Let me just wipe this off real quick. Hang on. Leave that there. All right. So now, let's get this back in place. Okay. I can actually see the dipstick is broken off wherever it mounts down there. Let's see about fixing that maybe. Not that it really affects much of anything, but it vibrates over time. And there you see the oil's actually clean, but it's actually above full. So, okay, I'm gonna let this thing warm up. I did clean the throttle body and I cleaned the mass air meter, so let's let it warm up. So now with the engine tapping, out of the way and situated, I'm not concerned about it. I'm sure it was just a, gummed up sticking lifter from sitting so darn much. I'm gonna let that tranny fluid work itself in there probably till the next oil change. It's got like 1,500 miles to go. It's not gonna hurt nothing. Like I said, the oil was nice and clean anyway, so. But what I'm gonna do is, like I said, I cleaned the throttle body, I cleaned the mass air meter. The air filter itself was clean, so I wasn't concerned with that. And I was just concerned about the idle, because when you go to start this thing, the idle was very wonky, like very low. It never wanted to come up. It could have been just because the throttle body was dirty. Really no big deal. Don't throw your old toothbrushes out. Basically, I use an old toothbrush and I clean throttle bodies with that. Spray it with carburetor cleaner, throttle body cleaner, whatever you want. And I usually clean it with that and use an old toothbrush and scrub it out, and usually works perfectly. Then I use a rag to wipe out the residual, because a lot of times you can't get the residual out. But I do that and it works absolutely perfect with an old toothbrush. But yeah, so anyway, I got it up and idling now, and it's hanging out, looking at the gauge, probably around 750, something in that range. So I got my scanner hooked up, and let's see if we can actually control the idle. So here, I just want you to see it. The AC is on, so it may have a slight effect on the actual idle. But let's see. So here I have it populated. Let's go inside. Let's go to functional tests. And let's see what's there, if it's there. CKP, that's cam crank variation learn. If that's not set, like if you replaced a cam sensor, crank sensor, did any kind of engine work, if you don't do that learn, it's very possible to set misfire codes that actually do not exist. So, calibration part number, injector balance, output controls. Let's go there. So as you see, I can control a whole bunch of different things here. Let's just see. I can disable injectors. Reset the oil life there. Oh, there we go. RPM control. Alright, so let's just see what it allows me to do. Alright, so here you see the plus sign up there, but just hitting the yes here, this will actually increase it. So RPM control is right now 650, and the RPMs did drop a hair. So I'm just gonna, let's see. Oh, see, it'll raise it up in increments. I'm just gonna go. You hear it climbing on its own. And I'm not even sitting in the vehicle. I got nobody underneath the hood. Where will it max out? Okay, it maxes out at 2,000. So there you see, it's climbing up. It's just about at 2,000. Showing it there at around 1,900. Obviously, I'm not sitting in it. As you can see, I got nobody under the hood. So that's good. That means the IAC is working. So I got no concerns there. And also, if you notice, it's got good oil pressure. I wasn't never concerned about that. So let's back out of this. As soon as I back out, the idle should go back to normal. Let's let it go back. Let's verify where the actual oil pressure is. Yeah, the oil pressure is perfectly fine. Tell you what, this is a clean truck. This is a nice clean truck. Look at this thing. I don't even know what the mileage is on it. Oh, 160. I mean, it's a clean truck for 160. Somebody really took care of this thing. I mean, yeah, it's a bare bones truck, but I wouldn't mind this. This actually wouldn't be a bad vehicle. 8-foot bed. Now, one thing I got to do too is I have to replace the tailgate latch. It's busted off. So let's see. Let me see if we can. Let's do that. Let's make a video of that, or let's include it in this video. In order to get the tailgate open, you have to squeeze these two together. This one has to go this way. This one has to go that way. So you kind of have to squeeze them together. I did that with a pair of channel locks, and I got the tailgate to pop. So now, once that's out, you got to take these 13s out of this cover if you have a bed liner, and you got to take those Phillips head screws out. So let's get those out so we can get this cover off and see what's underneath it. So with all those screws and those 13 millimeter headed bolts out, you just take this, slide it out of the way. So now, as you can see, there's one more 13 underneath there. And the thing is, because somebody sprayed a cheapo bed liner on here, I'm gonna have to dig around this 13. I mean, I might be able to get the gun on there. Let's see. I'm not a lefty. Okay, yep, it's loosening up. So what I gotta do is I gotta get that out, and the handle will actually, you can see it on the inside there, the handle's actually gonna fall out. So let me do that, and what I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna spray up these latches really good. I may actually unbolt them and take them out, because those rods were very difficult to maneuver to make them move and get them to do something. So let me get that out first, and then I'm gonna spray these up and see if I can't get them to move freely without having to take them out. I mean, really take them out, it's just two 13s there also on each side, and the whole thing will come right out. So maybe I'll do that. So all I really did was I just sprayed it up with WD-40 And if I reach underneath here into the handle hole, I can actually grab the rod. You hear it? It's moving free now. So that's all I really cared about. So now the new one, here it is. It's a Dorman 77488CD. That's a complete handle. Now the only thing I don't have now is I don't have the exterior trim, the trim bezel that goes around that. So I'm going to need that too, I think. I got to see if the customer wants it. I'm assuming they do, because the truck is very clean. So let me get this installed, which is really not a big deal, and we're going to go from there. All right, so I got my tripod set up. So now to install this, what you need to do is just get it up in place, and then these are where these rods attach. They're going to go through the hole, and then you're going to push this clip up and lock it into place. Well, let's do that first. I don't know if you can see it. Probably can't. It's very difficult. Let's see. There, you see that one rod is in there, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take that up and snap that in place. And then the same with this one. You're going to put this in that clip. Get it all the way in. I don't know if you can see that, and then snap that up in place like that. So now that that's caught and this is free, what you could do is from the back side, from this side, you are going to take your bolt and you're going to come in through the back side, through the hole where you just took it out, and you're going to come in and you're going to bolt that in. Now the other two bolts, what you want to do, these two bolts that went through that lino liner or the bed liner cover on the tailgate cover itself, you want to catch these two. You don't want to tighten them, but you want to catch them. This way, when you tighten the third bolt, everything is lined up. This way you can take these out when you put the cover on and then put these bolts back in place. So let me get these in there, and then I'm going to tighten up that one bolt. Now they're just caught. So this thing doesn't move all over the place. So now I'm going to tighten that one center bolt. Lefty loosey, ready tighty. Right. So now this should open and close. All right. So now let's actually open this. And let me move this so you can see a little better. So now, like I said, these two bolts, you didn't want to tighten them in place because you still got to put that other cover on. And you don't want to leave them out because then the bolt holes would never line up. So now, you can take that tailgate cover as part of the bed liner kit. You put them in place, and you can start them. You don't want to tighten them down because you still have all the other Phillips screws to put in. So, what you're going to do, you can see what I'm doing here. Yeah. What you're going to do is you're going to catch all of the Phillips screws. Just catch them. And then once you have everything caught, then you can tighten. It's a big mistake a lot of beginners make is they'll tighten up one screw and realize they can't get the other ones in place. That's common. I think my battery's going dead in the whole drill here. Yeah, it's going dead. All right, so you get the idea. Let me get all of these in place. Yep, it's going dead. So let me change the battery out on this. Let me get all these in place, and we're going to tighten it up, and we're going to be good to go with that. All right, so now that everything's in place, now we're going to tighten up all these screws. You don't want to go nuts with the screw gun because it's very easy to strip out the sheet metal that these screws go into. As soon as it stops, stop. You don't have to go bananas tightening it up. That's that. That's that. Tailgate closes, tailgate latches. Tailgate opens. All right, so then actually the last thing I got to change is that taillight. Now I left this thing running for a reason, because I wanted to get nice and warm with that stuff, with the training fluid in there. So now in order to change the taillight on these, you have a screw up here, a screw down there. Once you take those two screws out, this whole assembly just pops right out. So I have another used taillight that's going to go in. So let's change this real quick. Super simple. The clip actually fell out of the taillight. Okay, so now on the back side here, these bulbs, to get them out, the socket has a little tang here. You just depress the tang and then you can, depress the tang and then you can rotate it. Alright, so let me go get the other taillight that I have. Let me throw this in the trash. It's actually full of water. I don't know if you heard that. It's just water pouring out of it. Let me go get the other taillight. So here's the new taillight. We're going to throw this in place. No, it's a used taillight. Come on. The socket doesn't want to line up. I don't know if you want to line up. There we go. Sometimes you got to play with them, because sometimes the socket hole where the bulb goes through gets a bit distorted from heat over time from the light itself. So sometimes you got to mess with it just to get it in place. So there we go, that's in place. 2 screws. And I think I may actually put the other taillight I have in the other side, because it matches. I'm trying to get stuff to line up. It's a bit of a pain. Okay. Now, just tighten up the little screws, and that's it. That's done. Okay, nice, quick, simple, easy. I don't know. What does the other taillight look like? Let's take a look. It looks pretty close. I mean, I had a pair of them. I'm going to leave it alone. All right, guys. I hope you got something out of that. See, not all ticking engines are a bad thing. You know, yeah, it's ticking because it got gummed up probably. It's nice and quiet now, so I'm not concerned about it. The 4.3 is a pretty durable motor. Not the most powerful thing in the world, but it's pretty durable. So anyway, hopefully you got something out of that. If you did, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys. You have a great day. Keep wrenching.